Hey FP community, I'm back with you this week. We're going to talk to you about how exercise can actually make you smarter. Now you've seen this a lot probably on online articles online, a lot of news stories happening where exercise is actually good for your brain, and it's very true. It's actually very true, and what I'm going to do now is give you a simple concept of to show you how that works. You can go online and read the research and read the research studies, but here's a kind of interesting foundational concept of how that works, and if you understand how it works, you can use it to your advantage to create incredible change in your life. So the first concept we're going to talk about is what our brain needs to stay alive. So our brain needs two things to stay alive and stay healthy and functioning well. First thing it needs is fuel. Fuel would be, our fuels are oxygen, so we need oxygen to go to the brain, and glucose, which is sugar. Those are all both delivered through the blood flow. So we need blood flow to the brain, delivering fuel for it to actually function well. So interestingly, our brain uses a quarter of the amount of oxygen we've taken every day, and about a quarter of the glucose we've taken every day. So a very small 3-pound organ uses almost a quarter of our resources every day. So it's a very incredibly dense and very hungry organ. Should be a very active organ. So it needs a lot of fuel, a lot of blood flow to actually make it work well. Number two thing it needs is called activation. And when we say activation, we typically kind of mean stimulation. Stimulation is things that actually make it work and challenge it a little bit. So we have things that we do every day long. Our brain's always working all day long. But it's also wired to actually make things, we get turned into things into habit, so they become easy. So it's not actually very stimulating anymore as the more we do it. It's very kind of more routine, more or less conscious thought, more on the go. And it's designed that way for a reason, to save resources. But over time, that becomes less activation for my brain if we just do the same things over and over every day. So we need lots of fuel, activation. So the other part of this too is activation. To stay alive. If our brain's not being activated, it starts to kind of degrade and kind of die. So we need that actual activation, that challenge for our brain to stay healthy and actually working well. So that's number one. Number two is going to be the basic feeding pattern of the brain. So how things kind of get to the brain and get to use. So first we go into a little bit of anatomy. So if we're trying to make our life better, trying to make it actual better decisions, being smarter, better energy through the day, better emotional regulation, all those things, that's going to take place in what's called the frontal lobe, which is up here in the front of the brain. Frontal lobe, front of the brain. That's kind of our executive center of the brain. So that has to actually be working really well, to be able to focus well, to do your job well, to have good energy, make good decisions, good thoughts, good emotions, all those things are taking place here in the front of the brain. This bottom back part of the brain is called the cerebellum. The cerebellum is what's in charge of the thing we call integration. It's actually a very important concept. So integration is basically your cerebellum is going to take in all your visual information, your balance information, and all your body movement information, integrate it together to create a nice map of where you are in the world and how you're moving, and actually give your brain the information to actually use. So cerebellum is in charge of all of our coordinated, complex movements. So if I'm just sitting still all day long, or if I'm just walking on a treadmill very smoothly and steadily looking at a wall straight ahead of me, I'm getting very little cerebellar activation. Now to go back to the mechanical thing at the front, bottom, top, back to front, I mean, we need the blood flow. The back part of the brain is where the blood flow is going to go first, the cerebellum. So I'm not getting a very good cerebellar activity. I'm not getting much blood flow here into the cerebellum and actually further forward into the brain. So if you think about anatomy, my heart is down here. I'll make my nice heart here. The blood flow is going to go up this way, and then it's going to go this way into the brain to actually fuel the brain. So I need this bottom back part of the brain to be very active and working well to give me that fuel source to start to come through the brain to actually make it work. So if the bottom back part of the brain is not working well, integrating well, the cerebellum is not integrating well, the rest of the brain suffers. So that's the bottom and top part of the brain. Now we've got the back to front part of the brain we can look at too. In this back part of the frontal lobe, there's an area called, right about here, the primary motor cortex. What that means is kind of the primary area that drives our conscious movement. So every time we want to try to move well or move differently, we're activating this back part of the frontal lobe, the primary motor cortex. So we have a pretty close link between these two that have to be working together to get the blood flow into this front part of my executive center of the brain, the frontal lobe of the brain. If I'm not moving a lot, I'm not moving differently, challenging myself, I'm not getting a lot of activation here, I'm not getting an opportunity for blood flow to get further forward into my brain. Another very important concept in neurology is areas of the brain that lie next to each other act on each other. So if I move a lot here in my motor cortex, I'm now actually getting some more blood flow and more activation into my frontal lobe to actually function better. So if you can think about that kind of concept and kind of piece it together, could you see how moving more, moving well, moving better can actually almost change your life and make you better? So as far as function, focus, memory, emotions, even pain, because pain lives in the brain as well. If I have better information, better fuel in my brain, it can interpret all those signals a lot better and basically have a better quality of life. So if I'm trying to actually function better in the world, I actually need to move better. Just by this concept of the bottom back part of the brain, my complex movements, the front part of my brain where I have my executive functions and my primary motor area, all this area in between is also part of that process as well. So I need to be able to feel where I am in space, see where I'm in space, that's the occipital lobe, it's vision, see where I am, feel what's moving around me, what's happening. All those things are going to feed this front area to make me function better. So movement's almost critical to actually having a healthy, functioning brain, which makes a healthy, happy, incredible life. So I hope this makes sense to you. If you have questions, feel free to give us a call or email us here at the gym, and we'll see you soon.